thank you so much for joining me here. I'm Michelle Nicole McNabb with M&A Marketing and Events, and we are having a conversation. Brynne is my go-to thought leader when it comes to leveraging LinkedIn for your sales teams and for your brand. So we're just having a conversation and would love to, see what sort of transitionings you're seeing in the event space and how some of these sales teams that typically leverage in-person events, whether it be for networking, for prospecting, their trade shows, and how are you helping them make that shift?
That's a great question. So a couple of things. The first thing is you have to make sure that you update your LinkedIn profile to reflect that you are still in business, you are doing business now, even if it is virtually, that so that people, when they get there, they know that you're still, open for business. Once you've done that, now we want to take a look at how would we have networked normally. And we go to an event, we look at the directory of everyone that's going to be there, and, we circle who it is that we want to have conversations with and what booth number, and we make sure that we get to these booths, right? Well, we want to do that virtually. So if you've had shows that have been canceled, there's a good chance all of the sponsors are still somewhere in a directory, somewhere online. You can go find those, right? And go ahead and circle them virtually, right? Rather than saying, what booth am I going to visit? It's what LinkedIn profile am I going to visit? Where, I'm going to find those folks, and I'm going to reach out and say, hey, I had you circled on the directory to visit you at the trade show that got postponed till next year, but I didn't want to wait, so I thought I'd reach out and introduce myself. Let's connect, right? And you can start conversations with all of those people that you wanted to have conversations with originally. The other thing to do is look at last year's hashtags, right? So if you look at whether it's LinkedIn or Twitter, look at the hashtags, probably more on Twitter, that were used for those events, and you can now engage with the folks that probably would have been back this year, right? So you can see who engaged, and they're really the ones that'll be open to very quick conversations because they're socially driven already. And so there's a lot of different things that you can do that in leveraging LinkedIn in order to keep yourself top of mind, have those conversations. And by the way, all the conversations don't have to be sales conversations, right?
Could you maybe elaborate on that? That's also a big question that I get asked. What sequence, what magic formula is there? And that's not necessarily how it works. I know that you and I agree on, this sort of conversational, situational. It's not a script that magically you plug in and it's automated. That's not how LinkedIn works. That's not how conversations work. So could you maybe elaborate on, great, you got that spark of conversation. What does that sequence? Now they're saying, what do we do now? So maybe you can elaborate on that as well.
Well, think about the conversations that you'd have in real life, right? What questions would you be asking them if you walked up to meet them at their booth? Like, get in the shoes of the moment if you were in person. Get industry insights. Find out what's, start a conversation around something that matters to them. Here's the thing. You need to do a couple things. To build relationships, you need to show real empathy, and you need to be a resource. So if you can be those things and show that they matter. So ask them, what was your pivot? So I do not say, how are you making out through this? How's your business through this? It's very uncomfortable for a lot of people. I will often say, really was looking forward to meeting you at the event in August. I'm sorry that it's been postponed till next year, but I thought, why wait? Let's get to know each other now. Let's connect. Now they connect. I'm curious as I'm reaching out to people that, would have normally been networking in person. What are some of the pivots you've made during this lockdown, and start a conversation with what's going on in your world. If you have information about what other people in their world are up to, you can say, I'd love to learn a little bit of the pivots you've made and share some insights on what some other CEOs have done around X, Y, and Z, or other VP of sales have done around X, Y, and Z, or what other directors of marketing have done, whoever it is that you're looking to have that conversation with. And so it becomes this two-way conversation. I want to know what my competitors are doing without saying they're your competitors, right? But what are some other pivots other companies have made? And so once you have a couple of these conversations, you now have, without mentioning anybody's name, you have content and data and information that they would love to know. And then so you're gathering more about what they're up to and sharing what other people are up to. And you can jump on a Zoom and have a 15 or 20 minute conversation, and they're thankful. It's just the beginning of a relationship, right? You don't have to sell on every single call. When you build relationships, show empathy, and you are a resource, the sale will come when the time is right.
Yeah, we were just talking about this as well. Working in events a lot of times are a long tail relationship. So for instance, I have a new client that I met over 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And that sounds like a long time, but it's such a strong foundation. You mentioned 7 years. Yes. And yes, I understand that may not be the customer journey or client acquisition that's meant for everybody. So it is going to depend on your service, your providers. But what happens is if we are treating everybody that we meet as a prospect, and this goes whether it's at your booth or online, we are missing out on so many opportunities, because if we are pitching them, and they could actually have been an amazing strategic partner that can open doors into the right people onto different stages, but we pitched them
and turns them off.
That's something completely irrelevant that doesn't make sense. We've actually closed that opportunity. So to have these conversations of who are you talking to beyond their first name? That's how I like to approach it.
I love that. Yeah, it's no different than if you walked up to them at a trade show. You would not go into your pitch mode at their booth. Right. You would start that would be awkward.
It would be awkward, and vice versa. What happens many times at the booth, for those that are pitching too soon, rather than first better understanding who is it that I'm talking to? Are they even the decision maker? Are they someone that was sent as a representative? There are brand ambassador programs for a reason. There are people that are hired just to cover, to then be gatekeepers. And so to first better understand who it is that you're talking to beyond their first name, remembering their name is hard enough, but then to better understand, is this person that I'm having a conversation with at your booth, which is now on LinkedIn, someone that I want to further my understanding? Can they introduce me to the right person? Are there multiple stakeholders that we need to be introduced to? Because sometimes the pitch is not appropriate. You're not going to, Brynne, you and I, we're strategic partners. We don't need one another's services, but we support the same type of clientele.
But you say that, right? Right now, that's absolutely true. 5 years from now, I may decide I'm going to do a social media huge event in Center City, Philadelphia, and you're the first person I'm going to call, even though that's not on my radar today. So building those relationships really make a big impact. So the bottom line is, don't treat the human beings on the other side of the profile different than you would in a live event.
I absolutely love that. And that's also why I invited you to share a little bit, because I can say it all I want over and over, and you are the thought leader in the LinkedIn space that I really wanted to emphasize that, yes, I work live events, less hybrid. Let's use these tactics together and leverage. So that way, once live events start coming back, these tactics are still relevant.
Yes.
There's no reason why we can't continue these conversations before, during, and after the event. And LinkedIn is such an amazing platform when done correctly.
Love it. Well, thank you for asking me these questions and allowing me to share some insights. And I'm just really happy to have you as part of my network.
Absolutely.
It's a great partnership.
Yeah. Brynne, could you just leave off and let people know the best way to find you and where you share that relevant information?
Yeah, thank you. So I'm still the only Brynne Tillman on LinkedIn. So that's the best place to find me. And a lot of my content, if you go if you look at hashtag SSL Insights, social sales link, SSL Insights, it's a hashtag, all of our content lives there.
Right there on LinkedIn. You got it.
Thanks so much, Michelle Nicole. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. Talk to you soon.